everyone, it's Tammy Van Hollander, and I am here with one of my dear friends, Dr. Jenn Lefebre. We've been talking about having this video on edible sand trays for a while now, and finally today's the day that we are able to do it, and Jenn's going to introduce it all to us. But first, Dr. Jenn, you want to just tell us just a little bit about you, and then maybe even how these edible sand trays came to you, because it's so clever. And then I started doing it after I got the idea from you.
So great, thanks. So I'm Dr. Jenn Lefebre, for those of you who don't know me. I'm a clinical psychologist and registered play therapy supervisor and a trauma-sensitive yoga facilitator. So when kind of all of this happened and we started needing to do teletherapy from home, I started looking in my pantry and in the recyclables, trying to think of some activities that I could do with my kids and my families across screens with items that they probably already have, or things that they could easily get in the dollar store or something like that. So I made some edible slime with my kiddos in my home, my son and my stepson, and we made worlds in them. So I thought, wouldn't it be neat if we found some items that we could use to make sand and then make sand trays in the same way? One of the things that did come up is the use of food in these items. So being able to use either old food that's expired or reuse the food is something that I'll talk about kind of as I show the pictures too. So I'm really excited that we're finally able to get together to do this, Tammy.
Yeah. So Jenn, do you want to share your screen?
I will.
Okay.
So here we go. So the first thing here are just some different items that are possibilities of use for the actual sand in the tray. So these are things I pulled out of my pantry. This was an old graham cracker crust that I had since Thanksgiving, so probably not very good to eat anymore. Old cocoa, cornstarch, flour, any item that could make some sort of texture to be the sand base in the tray. And then I also pulled out of my cabinet some different items that could add a little bit more of either things like fences or pathways. So some of the things that in traditional sand trays we may use stones or shells or fences. I grabbed some other items from my cabinet to do so. So granola, old popcorn, crackers, anything like that, that could be a possibility. And this was my base that I created. I was thinking of one of my favorite places to go, which is Folly Beach, South Carolina, the ocean. It's near where I went to college, and my brother still lives there. I should be there right now, actually in a week, so I'm very much missing it. So I used a little bit of oatmeal and some grits and graham crackers to create some textures for the sand base of the tray. And then I had some blue sugar from, I think, 4th of July or Memorial Day. So I made some water. And then I used some asparagus for trees, and I actually ended up cooking that for dinner with the rest of my asparagus. And then added some basil and oregano to make grass and kind of the little fences out of pretzels for the kind of the sand dune barriers. And then I added myself as Harley Quinn. So one of the things, if you're doing this with families over telehealth, you can invite them to find these items. And then just as you would in the play therapy room, you can ask the children and invite them to go see if they have some miniatures or figures, whether it could possibly be little Lego figures or some of these items, which a lot of kids collect. So that they can put some animals or human figures within their tray as well.
These are great.
So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because I don't know if you have any thoughts or questions before I show a couple of other pictures.
No, continue. I don't know if you have the ones that I sent you that we did, and what a powerful experience that was. Are they on your PowerPoint, the one that Neil and I did?
No, they aren't.
Oh, I was hoping they were on there. So, I mean, after your idea and doing it, I was just so inspired. And we just had a date night and we just created, and my safe space was amazing with my edible tray. And then just the things that I found around the house, like this
Mhm.
bunny that I found, and all these things I didn't even know were in my house were speaking to me. And it had a whole different meaning than the things that were on the shelf, and I didn't want to take it apart. And
Mhm.
maybe I'll I don't know, I could find a way of showing one of the pictures on something, but it was just so powerful, and it was just like creating my own sand tray. It was the same type of experience that we have when doing sand tray work, which I thought was so cool.
Mhm. Absolutely. I actually have the picture of mine up as a screensaver so I can keep looking at it because it definitely had that same pull and holding of safety for me as it does just when I have done my typical traditional sand trays in the office.
Yeah. So do you have some other things to show us on there?
I, I do. I have a couple more. Um, so let me open up this one more time. So this was one that I did with my cousin's daughter. So brown sugar makes a great base for sand as well. And it's something that a lot of times people have in their homes, and it also isn't a very expensive medium. She created a beautiful world, and she actually made some volcanoes and talked about safety and security and friends and how she's missing some of her friends at preschool. And it really was a very powerful experience for her to demonstrate what's going on for her in the world right now and today. So it was much more of a fluid sand tray, as very typical with preschoolers, where they don't necessarily create a stagnant world and tell a story about it. She played with this for about 15-20 minutes and wanted me to be in it with her, which I went back and forth about actually putting my hands in the brown sugar, as many of us do not put our hands in the sand tray with children when we're doing it. It was definitely a different modality doing it in a baking tray on her counter. But she also used animal crackers and had them telling stories to one another, and talked about different ways that she can make the little animal crackers safe because they weren't safe. And so it was a beautiful process, just with some marshmallows, animal crackers, and brown sugar. So this isn't something that you really need a whole lot of things to do. These were the worlds that we had created with the edible slime. And again, you can see the safety elements within the worlds that were created, as well as a little bit of feeling unsafe and some kind of chaos going on. So there was a lot of affect and meaning that came out from just these couple of different techniques and strategies.
Those are amazing. Wow, Jen, thank you. There, I would have never thought of the brown sugar, and it almost reminds me of like kinetic sand.
It was exactly like kinetic sand. The feeling of it, it could mold together. She made a volcano, she made a snowman, and then she put things on it, and it definitely molded like kinetic sand. She did keep licking her hands. She is, 4.5 years old. She was like, "This tastes so good." So it was also a multi-sensory experience, and we very often talk about trying to instill and resource sand trays and trying to bring in the sensory items, like what would it feel like, smell like, taste, what could you hear. And so those things just happen very naturally with food being the medium for these trays in these worlds.
They're so creative and so brilliant. And just like even the idea of like, as you're kind of rummaging through things, right? And like looking for it. And it's like almost like just like the images speak to us, like the food speaks to us. I got the asparagus too in different pieces. And it was like the food was speaking to me, saying these were the things that needed to be in my tray, which was just like so cool. And I think it's just such a great thing that the therapist could be doing with the child, or for the family to be doing together, even as family trays, or doing it separately, especially during this time, families just looking for activities. And
Mhm.
Love all different things that are edible.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. So Jenn, I know you may have some things in the works that we may not be talking about right now, but in general, where can people like find you and follow you so they know about some of the cool stuff that you're doing?
Yep, absolutely. So my Facebook page, Dr. Jen's Healing the Child Within, and Instagram have been pretty well set up now, and I'm actually active on them as compared to before. So I'm putting out a lot of different trainings on there that I'm doing, as well as some of these different techniques and activities are on there. Also, healingthechildwithin.org is my website, and there will be some different strategies and techniques and trainings available on there as well.
Awesome. And for those of you who don't know, Dr. Jenn, myself, and Claire Mellentine all have a play therapy course through PESI. So I've been very privileged to do a lot of work with Dr. Jenn and call her a very dear friend who I love very much. So
And
Jenn,
I miss you so much, Tammy.
I know, I miss you too. Jenn, thank you though for doing this. And we need to do a Zoom night where we're in our kitchen together and do some edible trays together. So that's like a perfect, have a play date with your friends, whether you're therapists or adults, and just create together.
Mhm.
And then being able to do a sand tray. So I think we need to do an edible sand tray date.
Yes, that would be wonderful, Tammy.
Okay, thanks, Jenn. Take care.
Thank you. Bye-bye.